I feel like Juneteenth this year is a meditation on freedom. What was freedom in the past? What does it mean now? And what will it look like in the future?
In America, there are two Independence Days. There's the 4th of July and there's Juneteenth. June 19th, 1865, the date the Union Army arrived in Galveston, Texas to declare that the Civil War was over and the enslaved were now free. That was 2 years after Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. It's one of the oldest national celebrations marking the end of slavery. But this year, as a wave of protest overtake the country after the police killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and now Rayshard Brooks, Juneteenth is both a time for joy and triumph, and it's an unfulfilled promise.
First of all, Juneteenth must be understood as one of a series of Black celebrations that were a combination of celebration and political agitation.
Starting in the 1740s, there was Negro Election Day, where African Americans would ceremonially elect representatives in their community to parody the elections they were forbidden to take part in. After 1834, there was Emancipation Day, where African Americans in the U.S. celebrated the anniversary of when the British Empire abolished slavery.
As a critique to say that the British Empire has abolished slavery, but yet you have not. And so it's not an accident or mistake to begin to see, especially now, this resurgence of identifying Juneteenth as this critical convergence point where we can begin to reflect on past struggles, history, legacy, but also the dual nature of being Black and American. African Americans have always had this uneven relationship to these commemorations, to these moments.
In celebrations of freedom and democracy, it's a reminder that those civil rights and liberties promised to Black Americans centuries ago have never fully been realized. We see that in George Floyd, in incarceration rates, in health outcomes, and income disparities. Juneteenth is both an acknowledgement of how far we've come and how far we've yet to go.
I remember reading about an enslaved African American man. When he learned that he was free, he said that it felt like we were walking on golden clouds. We felt like heroes and nobody did it but ourselves. And I think it's just really a brilliant image, this idea of golden clouds and the sort of optimism that came with that moment of freedom. And so we are thinking about, those whom we've lost. We are honoring them. And at the same time, we're also trying to find moments of joy. And so if we think about that, we can think about, the African-American experience in all of that complexity.
This year, calls to make Juneteenth a federal public holiday are gaining traction on a grassroots level, in the corporate world, among state leaders, and in Congress.
So what does it mean to think about Juneteenth as an American holiday, a complete, a more robust vision of freedom without the reliance on slavery as its foundation? So that's important. I think we should do that. But this current celebration in the midst of the Black and brown and collective action against police brutality and racial oppression, we have to be careful, because is this just an attempt to kind of mute a more robust conversation? It has to be a launching point, not a finishing point. And so I definitely worry about that these individual entities, whether it be state officials or corporate entities, are attempting to move Juneteenth into their purview versus those individuals moving into a more democratic and social justice framework of what this moment could actually accomplish. That Juneteenth is a symbol of making America what it has never been.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.